Good day and hello everyone. Welcome to the AFLC's Love Series as we celebrate love during this month of February. Welcome. We are here, everybody. It's February already. The year has just started and I find it's going quickly already. But we do what we have to do. This year is still the year of the family, and as we continue to highlight and celebrate all aspects of family, we at the FSC really wanted to continue that journey with you by sharing these wonderful, enlightening, inspiring conversation with all types of families in our community about love. So our love series will be based on the Amoris Laetitia, Joy of Love from Pope Francis's apostolic exhortation on love in the family. It's a lot, but it's such a wonderful book. And our conversation today will focus on chapter 4, Love in Marriage, but specifically 91 to 94. Love is patient and love is kind. I know we are all familiar with that, right? But before getting into that, without further ado, I would like to still introduce our wonderful guest that I have here with me, Lucia Canna. Right? Did I get it right? Yes, Canna.
Kane.
Kane, I apologize, Kane, about her journey with patience and kindness within love. So thank you for joining us, Lucia. I would just like to start with a brief introduction and tell us a little bit about ourselves, and then we'll delve in.
Okay, no problem. Hi, good morning, everyone. It's great to be back with you sharing about Pope Francis's exhortation and sharing my personal experiences with you. So you know by now, and if you don't, I am Lucia Cane, and I am a clinical psychologist. But I think what qualifies me more than anything to be here this morning is that I am a wife. I've been married for the past 17 years, and I'm also a mother to 3 wonderful human beings, 2 of them being adults at this time, and 1 15-year-old. So I'm really excited to share my experiences with you, and I hope that through the chat, you're going to share some of your experiences with us as well.
Thank you so much, and thank you again for joining us. Three for three. So I have 3 and you have 3, but I have younger ones at the other end from 6 and under. So definitely, I think I'll be taking notes from you today as well. So all right, so let's get into it. Love is patient. So we wanted to start off with a little bit of the reading from 1 Corinthians 13, chapters 2 to 3. And it's so powerful. Everything I think said in this book is so powerful and so relatable. So we just shared with you. Here too, we say that even if I have faith so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give all I have, and if I deliver my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. I think that's so powerful in itself. Just the power of love and what it has and what it holds. So we're going into love is patient first. And I think when we think of love as patient, when I hear that word patient, I think we all usually think, well, we have to have patience, we have to take something, or we have to just settle for something, or we just have to keep enduring. I think that's the first thing when people think of patience. But I believe it's much more than that. And even reading your Morris, it highlighted and even reminded me much more of what his real meaning is. So Lucia, as a first question for you, do you think this concept of patience is really easily understood?
To be honest, no. And I want to take us back to paragraph 89, where Pope Francis speaks about, during the sacrament of marriage, the graces that we've received are really to perfect the couple's love. Right. So, it's at the end of the day, perfecting it as we go along. And so I think for most of us, even those who felt they were patient before they got married, marriage brought out another level of patience. Having children brought out another level of patience. And so through the family, we grow in patience. I don't think patience is as simple as enduring all things, Crystal. Right. And if we go further in paragraph 91, Pope Francis speaks about the quality of one who does not act on impulse and avoids giving offense. And I had to learn that. That is one of the early things in marriage. I was always reacting, anything, quite impulsive, you know, in terms of my reaction.
Right.
You see, for me, I had grown up with a single parent, a single mother, and I knew the strength of a woman on her own. And so coming into marriage, the longevity of marriage was not a reality for me that I accepted initially, you know? And so I think I was looking for problems. I was looking for the issues because I was not going to leave anything on its own.
Right, right.
As strange as it may seem, that was my experience.
Right.
And so anything, I would react because you were not taking advantage of me.
Right,
You know?
right.
But there was one day, so I was quite impulsive. I would get very angry very quickly. And people who know me now will say, what you talking about? People don't know me to be that person, you know. But one day in the midst of one of my storms, I suddenly asked myself, why are you so angry?
Right.
And recognized that the anger had nothing to do with the current situation.
Looking inward again. Here we are reflecting and going deep inside.
Introspection, taking time out to introspect and really ask yourself what you're reacting to. And that's what I did.
Right.
And that I can remember, it's so clear because my anger had nothing to do with my husband, had nothing to do with Carlos.
Right.
A lot of anger from different things,
Correct.
you know, was coming out.
Right.
And so that impulsivity could be a killer.
Right.
That wanting to attack and deal with every single thing as you perceive it can be problematic. And so I firsthand lived that the lack of patience, you know, that impulsive and angry response was not helpful to my marriage.
I think I'm there now, to be quite honest, because we are still early. We are on, should be 9 years this year, and 3 little babies.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And you're right. I think it's kind of similar background in the sense where I've seen my mom being the pillar and being the main pillar and not being reliant on a lot of things, on a lot of people. So definitely, I know in the beginning, I don't know if it's really in the beginning, but more now per se, I think it's more of the feeling of always fighting to be right as well, and more than anything else. So I tend to lose. And he's a cool, very simmer down, go with the flow, you know, Crystal, relax, I'm good. And I'm just more like, no, we need to address this now. I need to fix this now. And that's what I've seen too, growing up. And I mean, if you look at even as I'll go to verse 92, where it says in the Amoris Laetitia, we encounter problems whenever we think our relationships or people ought to be perfect. And I think I always want that. I always want to feel like everything has to be perfect, or I want to have that control in the way things turn out. And if you are this way, no, this cannot be. you have to adjust because it will make my life easier. And as it says, then everything makes us impatient and everything makes us react aggressively. So definitely relate to that as well, with the impatience part is concerned. And patience is far from the reader, to be quite honest. But I think just like you, when it came to my husband and even came to parenting now with young children, I found myself, as you said, just being very hostile a lot, very angry quite a bit. Or I was like, why am I always quarreling for everything? It gets exhausting, right? And I'm losing my cool. So definitely, again, some introspection to figure out what's happening. Why am I angry? Connect the dots to figure out, well, okay, where's this impatience coming from, and what is making me feel or express less love to an extent because of it. So you can see how it clouds everything. So I find it's interesting. As we
it's what a lot of the men would call nagging.
yes.
You have to recognize where to draw the line between when someone says they are nagging
Mhm.
which is just an excuse to do what they
Right,
want to do,
right.
versus when you're really nagging,
Mhm,
you know? And
mhm,
sometimes when we pick at every little thing, when
mhm.
we express less than patience,
Right.
that is provoking provocation, that is nagging, and
Mhm.
it's definitely not us being patient with our spouses or children as
Right.
well.
Correct, correct, correct.
Yeah.
It's so interesting, especially with this time during the pandemic where we're all a bit confined. We're still a bit restricted. I know a lot of things have opened up, but I think there's still a sense of limitations to an extent. We have online, well, I have online schooling. I know many parents have as well, or you're working on rotation. And for me, you feel like if time is not on your side for a lot of things. So I know losing cool, losing patience, and the first person you want to lash out on is your better half, or at least your loved ones. And as I said, sometimes the love goes out. You love everybody, but it just does not. You're not expressing it in any way. You're not being grounded anymore. So definitely it's trying to look inwards and to find that
Mm.
patience and be reminded of who we are, I suppose, and go
Yeah.
back into the core.
What I like in paragraph 91 is
Mm-hmm.
when the word that the translation of patience, right? The
Mm-hmm.
Greek word is only used, I think, about two other places in the Bible, and
Mm-hmm.
it refers to God. So God
Right.
is the mirror of the type of love that we want to have in our homes. And part of it, and those who've listened to me before know that part of loving patiently is
Mm-hmm.
being able to be repentant,
Mm-hmm.
leaving the possibility for people to repent, because we're not perfect. We're
Right.
not perfect. And there will be mistakes along the way as we get to learn each other, as we get to understand each other, and as we develop as our own human beings.
Right.
And so that we must leave room that we can be merciful to our spouses.
Mm-hmm.
And marriage, I believe, marriage and family life in particular is made up of many moments of showing mercy.
Right, of course. Do you think though, as we're talking and we're sharing, and as a psychologist to one, and you've seen and you're bearing witness to a lot of things over the years, especially in your professional career. I know we highlighted some, but why do you think so many of us kind of just go on this impatience path? Because I see it not just alone in marriage, um was a product of a lot of things that are going on, and by extension society. Everything is fast paced, everything's been shifting a bit, mindsets have shifted, culture has shifted. So why do you think so many of us are just on this route? I think most of us, I'm seeing it like that for me, where everybody just wants something really quick from the person, from life, from and as I said, this we're forgetting that we're not perfect, or nothing is perfect, to be quite honest.
I
I don't
think it's the I think it's the identity formation, Crystal. It's
right.
like when adolescents going into adulthood have this identity formation, and that adolescent brain. There's
Mhm.
so much development taking place at such a quick pace that the
Mhm.
adolescent or young adult could be very impulsive,
Right.
very reactive, as
Mhm.
well as they're forming their own identities, and they believe this is how it should be done because they're using what you taught them at home, what they've learned at school and other places, and
Mhm.
they're forming their own identities, which could be quite tumultuous for a lot of persons.
Of course.
And I feel like when we get into marriage, that two becoming one,
Yes.
there's also a change in identity that a
Mhm.
lot of people resist. I'm going
Right.
to be my own person. Now,
Yeah.
two becoming one does not mean losing independence, but it's a fight against the wave for some persons.
Right.
This is how I always did it. My mother did it so. My mother's mother did it so. You want to say you want it done differently,
Mhm.
and persons really resist that, having that conversation where we can figure out what our new culture is going to be, what
Right.
our becoming one is going to look like. And
Mhm.
we can, use a bit of my cultural practices and
Right.
yours and
Mhm.
see what we come up with for our new families.
Mhm. I think you hit the nail there for sure. I mean, even within myself, my family, I've seen with clients as well. But you've seen it all around, even the stories, even the backstories and movies and everything. That feeling of when you become this one, the symbol of one, I lose myself or I give up myself, I give up my individuality. And I've had many conversations with people on the other end of things when things are impatient, or there's a lot of issues brewing now, and they've come to a junction, and you always hear that, well, I gave up this for you, I've done this for us. I see you kind of smooth there, so um, and as you said, because of that, and that's just compounded by many things, then we lose sight of just that, I guess, a harmonious dance you're supposed to be doing as a couple,
I
and
love
um,
that. I
yeah,
love that, Crystal, that harmonious dance.
yes,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. So in your experience though, I guess personally, no, I'm asking a personal, do you find it difficult still to exercise that acceptance of the other just as they are, and accept and exercising that love and compassion as a product of still being patient with the person, being patient and just in general?
I promise you, with increased awareness, it becomes easier.
Comes easier.
This,
Okay.
that moment of awareness when you recognize, hey,
Mhm,
why am I reacting? Or as you said, why am I quarreling so much?
mhm,
That's not what marriage was meant to be, you
mhm,
know. And
mhm.
so the patience now becomes easier, for me, I like to say practice the pause. I
Right.
think pause helps in so many things,
Mhm, mhm.
because it must be built on an understanding and an acknowledgement that there is love, that
Right.
there is love. This relationship is built on love. The fabric of family life is love. And
Right.
therefore, if we stop and we interpret things within that context of love,
Mhm.
our reactions would be different. So it does become easier.
So do you think, well, that essentially the inside introspection and taking that pause though is part of the cultivating patience now within oneself?
Yes, it definitely is. And we need the grace from God. It's not something we can just do on our own. There are few people who are able to really introspect and have that insight on their own. But
Mhm.
we have so many tools in the church that
Right.
can help us with that introspection when we go to adoration, when we go to mass. These are ways that we meet the living Christ. And
Mhm.
as we meet and encounter the living Christ, there is transformation that helps us now to yearn to be closer to God, to be more
Right.
like Jesus.
Right.
Someone told me what they use to cultivate the patience is recognizing that we are all sinners
Okay.
trying to be saints.
Right. I like that. I like that. No, because it makes us, I think it makes it more human. We we be, and it brings about a sense of, I think when I heard that, I heard just bringing myself back to a place of humility as well.
Yes,
So I think that's very powerful as well, in
yeah.
regards to cultivating the patience. So we're going to switch gears a little bit, or try to incorporate now, because I think patience, we talk about love is patient and then love is kind, and I think they also have a harmonious dance between them. In verse 91, 1991, I'm sorry, 93,
Yeah.
um Paul wants to make it clear that patience is not completely passive attitude, but one accompanied by activity, by a dynamic and creative interaction with others. The word indicates that love benefits and help others. It's not just mine. It's the service of others, right? Love is ever ready to be of assistance. Love is kind. Essentially, love is at, again, the service of others. When I read that and I saw how it worked with patience, I was like, ooh, I had a light bulb. But I was like, okay, it's never too late to stop learning, I think, about life, about yourself, about how things could be better, how we could put in the work to continue striving towards that goal that we all have, or we all desire at the end of the day. But this love benefits others, and love is ready to be of assistance, I'm sorry. um and again, love is more than a feeling. To love by is to do good. I think it said here 94, as Saint Ignatius of let's get tighter with it. Loyola said, love is shown more by deeds than by words.
Yes.
I think that's so again powerful there, to really recognize that this love could really make some type of movements, and even in our random acts or intentional acts of kindness, so many things could appear. um how do you see the patience and the kindness going hand in hand for
You
you?
know, I really liked how Pope Francis, I guess from
Yes.
St. Paul in the first place, in Corinthians, and Pope Francis bringing it to life for us so that we can understand the scripture in a
Yes.
more meaningful way.
Yes.
And, for me, it was, wow, look, the Pope is saying it here. Love is
Mm-hmm.
not just about the patience and the enduring all things and, taking the pause or being less reactive, but there is an action that accompanies love. And I
Yes.
felt that was important because too many persons tell you they don't feel love.
Right.
And when you really dig down, it's like, what is the action that accompanies this love? You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
for me, what it brought me to was Dr. Gary Chapman, Love Languages.
Right.
A lot
Yes.
of people are using that now
A
to
lot of
express
people,
love
yeah.
languages and so on.
Mhm,
And yes, he identified 5 love languages,
mhm,
but
mhm.
each of them requires action.
Right. Correct.
So, it's all built here. So we have acts of service. So to
Mhm.
those who experience love by what you do for them,
Yep.
we have words of affirmation for those who experience
Mhm.
love by hearing the lovely things that they want to hear about themselves, about what they did, you
Right.
know,
Mhm,
recognizing them, seeing them, and you expressing it. We have physical touch.
mhm.
We have receiving gifts, those who
Mhm.
enjoy gifts, and gifts don't have to be expensive things.
No.
Sometimes a gift may be just knowing that that I love catch, the chocolate
Yeah.
catch, and you come home with a catch without me
Touch.
asking you for a
Yeah.
catch. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, you know me, you understand me,
That's like my
you
husband.
know.
If I bring home some yogurt, it's like, woo, he loves yogurt. It's just like
Right.
simple things, the
And so,
simplicity of things.
yes, and so love must be accompanied. I hesitated because I wondered about the word must, but I'm not going to remove it. Accompanied by
Right.
action. It's a
And
verb, that's what I'm hearing Pope
yeah.
Francis saying,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. I
And
found
so,
it. Go ahead. No, no, go ahead.
and we do it for our children in our family life.
Yes.
And it's a bit easier to show and express love to children, but a lot of persons have difficulty showing and expressing that love to their spouses.
Do you think it's because, we all, well, not we all, let me just say that, but there's a certain misconception about how it's supposed to look like because of what is being put out there. So as you said, it's more of the simplicity in things rather than the grand gestures. Don't have to be anything expensive. But, I think a lot of people have a certain expectation in their head that, well, if you express love, then I should be getting this, more of a tangible something sometimes, or maybe not understanding the love languages as well and not having much insight in that. You might find, well, I would like you to express, say I love you, but when I'm
Mm.
having that kind of conversation with your partner or whatever, I still think there's a fantasy about it as well, that we're all, I stop saying we're all, let me just say that, but I think there's a trend to try to fit a bill that we're seeing outside. That's what I'm seeing a lot. So I
Oh,
think that's
the
contributing to it.
movie life,
The
Crystal, that
movie
things that we see
life.
on television.
Yes, the movie, the Netflix and the chills, whatever they're saying now.
Ah,
Um, because there's always this idea, and we were promoting this last year with the EFLC, when we started the year, the family and expressing love, and we were looking at the three rights of reaching out and was it reaching out, rituals and stuff like that. And we were breaking it down into the simplicity of showing your random acts of kindness, or just kindness and love with, helping washing the dishes, something simple as that. Or do you need help to just prepare the food? You will cook it because you have the sweet hand, or you want me to take the kids and, hold them for a little hour or two while you do this. I think those things are also acts of kindness and showing, expressing kindness. Or I try to do this experiment sometimes. I've seen it done online, in some videos. So like, if you let somebody pass, like driving, and you see them trying to get out into the main road, and you're the one to give them the pass. What I tend to look at now is what that person will do when somebody else is trying to get out. So sometimes when I come out in town after picking up my kids, where there's a busy street, I look for that. And for some reason, it's always the same thing. Once I let somebody pass, they tend to let another person pass. Right? And I was like, wow, look how funny life is. And look how kindness could be passed forward.
Oh, it's contagious.
It's contagious. Yes. Yes.
I think the kindness that we teach our children or home that they see among the husband and the wife, or and even in the single parent families, the kindness that we teach them, that is what we're looking at, that contagion, that being able for them to go out there and be vulnerable enough to be kind to others, and that definitely impacts on the wider society.
Correct.
If we can feel it at home. I want to also touch on the point of, yes, simple things make a big difference. You know how good I feel when I'm sitting working on a report or working on something, and my husband brings a bottle of water for me. That feels so special, that even though we're not in the same room and he's doing what he has to do and I'm doing what I have to do, that he thought of me, that I may need a water break, and he brings it. That really feels special. But I don't want to minimize the effect of the grand gestures as well, for those who are able to. It reminds me of the one with the coin that Jesus saw, putting in the coin in the basket, and it was all that she had. I think what really makes the difference is the thought behind it. The giving your all is important. And if your all at that time is one coin, your spouse is going to appreciate it. If you're all at that time, and not your excess, but your all is something grand, your spouse is going to appreciate it. But it's really about thinking of the other person.
Right. I like that, as we kind of come to a close, bringing it to that, the thought behind, and doing good for the other. I think that's, I guess, the basis of everything, and the basis of love, and the basis of patience, and the basis of everything in our Corinthians. When you really think of it, just thinking of that person and wanting the good for that person. So I want to thank you so much, Lucia, for joining us today. I know we could have probably have much more to talk about, because there's so much fun for me. And it was really inspiring conversation. So thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today, and your experience and your knowledge, and just your heart with us today. So I hope everyone enjoyed our segment, and we at the LFSC, of course, continue to pray for all families out there, that you experience the joy of love. Okay, so goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, Lucia, and everyone continue to stay safe for me. Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye, Crystal. It was great chatting with you this morning.
Thank you so much. Bye.